This is the Crush Your Mountain podcast with your host, Certified Health, Life, and Type 2 Diabetes Reversal Coach, Henry Gaskins.
Hey, before we crush through today's content, let me be straight with you. I'm Henry Gaskins, Certified Health and Life Coach, and your host here at Crush Your Mountain Health. I'm passionate about this work and I take it seriously, but I'm not a doctor, and nothing you hear on this show is medical advice. This podcast is built for education, to give you science-backed information that empowers you to make better decisions for your health. Now, that said, everybody is different and serious health concerns require serious medical attention. So please see your physician for any significant health concern and always loop your doctor in before starting a new health protocol. Now, let's get to work. Hey, let me ask you something straight up. What if the single most powerful blood sugar tool in your body has been there your entire life and no one ever told you about it or how to use it? It's not a pill, not a supplement, not an expensive program or gym membership you never use. No, your own biology, specifically a muscle deep inside your calf that most people walk past and never use every day, paired with one of the most primal, most powerful movements in human history, finished with a breathing technique that locks in every gain in place and stops your own hormones from working against you. Well, that's what we're building here today, right here, right now. I'm Henry Gaskins, Certified Health and Life Coach, and this is Crush Your Mountain Health. This show exists for one reason: to give you real, research-backed tools to create real change in your real life. Not theory, not hype. Science you can use today. And today's science is remarkable. Are you over 40? Are you a man or woman? This episode is built for you. Are you tired of blood sugar trending in the wrong direction? This protocol addresses that. Are you ready to stop being told what you cannot do and start being shown exactly what you can do? Then stay with me, because what I'm about to share over the next few minutes could genuinely change the trajectory of your metabolic health. We'll be discussing 3 phases, 3 separate physiological pathways attacking blood sugar simultaneously. Under 20 minutes, no gym required. So let's go. Before we get started, before we get tactical, okay, we need to make sure we're all on the same page, because the science in this episode is exciting and you deserve to understand it clearly. So we'll talk about some basic things first. Blood sugar. Well, that refers to the level of glucose circulating in your bloodstream at any given moment. Glucose is a simple sugar, the most basic unit of carbohydrate your body can use. Guess what? It's not the enemy. Glucose is fuel. Your brain runs exclusively on it. Your muscles depend on it for every contraction. Your organs require a continuous, steady supply of it to function. So glucose is life. The problem is not the glucose. The problem is what happens when the system that regulates it starts to fail. Here's the normal chain of events, the way things are supposed to happen. You eat a meal containing carbohydrates, rice, bread, pasta, fruit, potatoes, anything with starch or sugar. You digest this, and your digestive system breaks those carbohydrates down into glucose molecules and releases them into your bloodstream. Blood sugar rises. Your pancreas, the gland tucked behind your stomach, detects that rise and releases a hormone called insulin. So now think of insulin as a master key. Your cells, especially your muscle cells, have locked doors. Insulin is the key that fits those locks, opens the doors, and allows glucose to flow from your blood into your cells, where it's burned for energy or stored for later. Blood sugar comes down, balance is restored, and then the system works, just the way it's designed. Now, here's where the problem comes in. Here's when the things break down. And this is part of that directly affects the quality and trajectory of your health over 40. So this is important for you to know, because this is what affects you specifically now that you've crossed over the line of 40 years old. When physical activity is low, when we sit for extended periods, when body fat accumulates, particularly around the midsection, cells begin to lose their sensitivity to insulin. The lock gets stiff. Insulin shows up with the key, but the door resists. The pancreas compensates by pumping out more and more insulin to achieve what a smaller amount used to accomplish easily. So imagine in real life, if you had a locked door and you put your key in the door and it doesn't open. You know it's the right key, but it doesn't open. What do? Have someone else show up with another key, and then another key, and then another key. What kind of sense does that make? This is called insulin resistance. It is the root driver of prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. It's connected to stubborn weight gain, persistent fatigue, brain fog, systemic inflammation, hormonal disruption, and elevated cardiovascular risk. And it is alarmingly widespread. Current estimates suggest nearly half of all American adults are either pre-diabetic or insulin resistant. The overwhelming majority don't even know it. Now, this condition does not arrive the same way in everybody, and understanding why matters. For women, the hormonal transition of perimenopause and menopause plays a direct documented role. Estrogen actively regulates how efficiently cells respond to insulin. As estrogen declines during the transitional years and beyond, insulin resistance can develop or dramatically worsen, even in women who have maintained their health with discipline their entire lives. Now, this is not failure. This is biology creating a new challenge that demands a new response. Now, for men, the gradual decline of testosterone, which begins subtly in the mid-30s and accelerates meaningfully after 40, drives a parallel process. Lean muscle mass decreases. Visceral fat around the organs increases. The efficiency of glucose metabolism slows. The endpoint mirrors the estrogen story precisely, a metabolic environment that will not self-correct without deliberate, consistent intervention. Different biological triggers, same destination, same solution. Because here is what both groups share in common. Muscle. Muscle tissue is the largest consumer of glucose in the body. When the muscles contract, when they work, they can pull glucose out of your bloodstream through an entirely separate entrance that does not require insulin to open. Exercise creates a parallel door into your cells, bypassing the broken lock entirely. And one specific muscle does this better than any other in the human body. I want to introduce you to a piece of body that you've never thought about, never met. So I want you to meet the Soleus, the most powerful metabolic muscle that you've never trained or perhaps even heard of. Your calf contains two primary muscles stacked one on top of the other. The visible one, the one that's rounded and gives the calf its full shape, and it feels firm when you flex. Now, this is called the gastrocnemius. Say it with me. Gastrocnemius. This is the muscle that most people are working when they think about calf training. But underneath it, running from just below the back of your knee all the way down to your heel bone, lies a flatter, wider, deeper muscle called the soleus. Soleus. And this muscle, this single muscle, is where the science changes everything. In 2022, Professor Marc Hamilton and his research team at the University of Houston published a study in the peer-reviewed journal iScience that genuinely reframes how exercise science thinks about metabolic health. Here is what they found. The Soleus makes up approximately 1% of your total body weight. 1%. And yet, when activated correctly and consistently, it can raise its own metabolic rate, the rate at which it burns fuel, high enough to easily double and sometimes triple the total carbohydrate-burning rate of your entire resting body. Now, let that sink in for a moment. One muscle, 1% of your body weight, capable of doubling your entire body's carbohydrate metabolism. Now, this is not marketing. This is published, peer-reviewed science. The reason comes down to fiber compulsion or fiber composition. Your muscles are made up of two primary types of fiber. Type 2 fibers, fast twitch, power your explosive movements, sprinting, jumping, heavy lifting. They fire hard, burn through stored energy rapidly, and fatigue quickly. Type 1 fibers, slow twitch muscle fibers, are your endurance fibers. They sustain long, continuous contractions without fatiguing. They specialize in burning oxygen and blood-borne fuels, including glucose, pulled directly and continuously from your bloodstream, rather than relying on glycogen packed inside the muscle itself. Research confirms that the Soleus is approximately 88% type 1 slow-twitch muscle fibers, a higher proportion than 36 other human muscles that have been studied and categorized in the scientific literature. The Soleus is purpose-built by nature to run for extended periods while feeding directly and continuously on your blood glucose. It also carries exceptionally high concentrations of a protein called GLUT4. Now, what's GLUT4? GLUT4 stands for glucose transporter type 4. You think of GLUT4 as a revolving door built directly into the wall of the muscle cell. When the Soleus contracts, those revolving doors swing open and glucose from your bloodstream rushes in. And here's what makes it extraordinary. This entire process requires no insulin to trigger it. The Soleus clears blood sugar through its own independent channel, completely bypassing whatever degree of insulin resistance is present. It does not wait for the broken lock. It has its own door. For anyone managing insulin resistance, man or woman, this is not a minor finding. This is a fully functional alternative metabolic pathway that remains open and operational regardless of how compromised insulin sensitivity has become. So, what do we do with this information? How can we utilize the Soleus muscle? Well, now here's where we get precise, okay? Because there is a specific movement that activates the Soleus and a common mistake that bypasses it entirely. Understanding the difference is the entire ball game. Professor Hamilton's team named the correct activation movement the Soleus push-up, the SPU. And I need to be crystal clear about what the movement is and what it is not, because that distinction is not a matter of style, it's a matter of mechanics. The Soleus push-up is a seated calf raise, not standing, okay? Seated. That distinction is not a preference or a variation. It is the physiological mechanism that makes this movement produce the extraordinary results in the research data. Here's why. When you perform a calf raise standing, rising on your toes while standing upright, your body weight and the mechanics of the movement place the gastrocnemius in the strongest position. The gastrocnemius dominates. The Soleus receives some activation, but the gastrocnemius leads and captures the majority of the work. A standing calf raise primarily trains the gastrocnemius. That is a fine exercise for other purposes, but it is not a Soleus push-up, and it does not produce the metabolic results we are discussing today. When you sit down and perform the same heel raise movement, the angle of your knee joint changes fundamentally. That change, let's think about it this way. That change mechanically shortens and partially disengages the gastrocnemius. It cannot generate force effectively from that position. The soleus, unaffected by knee angle in the same way, becomes the primary mover. Seated is not easier. Seated is targeted. By targeting that soleus muscle like that, you are able to reduce your blood sugar. It is the only version of this movement that delivers what Hamilton's research documented. So here's the exact technique, okay? How do we do it? Well, you sit in a firm chair with both feet flat on the floor. Keep them hip-width apart. Keep your toes and the balls of your feet pressed firmly onto the floor throughout the entire movement. They never leave the ground. Now, raise both heels as high off the floor as they will go, pressing upward through the balls of your feet. Feel the contraction deep in the lower calf, behind the shin. This is your soleus working. So hold that top position for 1 or 2 full seconds, then lower your heels down slowly and completely back to the floor. That is one soleus push-up. The pause at the top is not optional. You've got to do the whole thing. See, that sustained peak contraction is when the glute 4 revolving doors are fully open and the glute clearance or glucose clearance is operating at maximum capacity. The controlled lowering maintains tension through the full range. Slow, deliberate, full range. 1 to 2 second holds at the top. Do not rush. The quality of each contraction is what drives the metabolic response. Now, for the research results. And I'm going to ask you to sit with these numbers for a second because they're amazing. Very extraordinary. When Hamilton's participants performed the soleus push-up during the 3 hours following a glucose drink, simulating a post-meal or post-meal blood sugar response, they experienced a 52% improvement in blood glucose excursion. What do we mean by excursion? Well, excursion in this case is the arc of blood sugar over time, how it spikes after eating, and how quickly it returns to a healthy baseline. Cutting that arc by more than half is clinically significant. They also demonstrated a 60% reduction in insulin requirement over the same 3 hours. The pancreas had to produce 60% less insulin to manage blood sugar. Now, for anyone whose pancreas is already under chronic overload from insulin resistance, that level of relief is both meaningful and protective of long-term function. You are protecting your body just by doing these soleus push-ups. The protocol additionally doubled the rate of fat metabolism during fasting periods between meals and reduced blood levels of VLDL triglycerides. Now, what's a VLDL triglyceride? Fat-carrying particles, when elevated, significantly increase cardiovascular disease risk. So, lowering your VLDL triglycerides actually helps protect your heart. Think about that for a moment. The researchers themselves classified these effect sizes as statistically huge. And we like to use that out in the world. Wow, that's huge. Well, that information, what the implications are, is huge. But now, Scientists are trained to be precise and conservative with their language. So when they say huge, they mean huge. When a peer-reviewed journal publishes the word huge, that's because the data itself earned it. All this from a seated calf raise. So let that be your motivation every single time you sit down. Now, let's add something else. The Soleus push-up is a standalone weapon. But now we're going to talk about something else. Something that perhaps you have seen in the gym or on the beach or even in your own home that you've done it yourself. It's called the farmer's walk. We're going to open up every metabolic door at once. Now, the farmer's walk takes everything to another level because it does not compete with the soleus muscle. It prepares for it. It amplifies it. And it attacks blood sugar through an entirely different mechanism at the same time. The farmer's walk is one of the most ancient functional human movements in existence. The concept is simple and very elemental. You pick up something heavy in each hand and walk. It could be 2 dumbbells, 2 kettlebells, 2 loaded bags, whatever you have. Grip the weight, stand tall, and walk with a controlled distance, with a controlled pace, and at a controlled distance. But what looks deceptively simple on the surface is a full system physiological event underneath. Every major muscle group in your body fires simultaneously to keep you upright, stable, and moving under load. Your quadriceps, the 4 muscles running along the front of your thigh, they drive every step. Your hamstrings along the back of your thigh control deceleration and absorb force. Your glutes stabilize your hips and propel you forward. Your core, every muscle wrapping your trunk, front, back, and sides, contract simultaneously to protect your spine and prevent you from tipping forward under the weight. Your trapezius and rhomboid muscles in your upper back work to keep your shoulders from being dragged down. Your forearm grip without interruption for the entire walk. And your calves, including the soleus, fire with every loadal step, pre-activating and pre-warming the very muscle you're about to target in your seated raises. That total body recruitment creates an enormous systemic demand for blood glucose as fuel. Every one of those major muscle groups pulls glucose from your bloodstream simultaneously. You have opened every metabolic door in the building at once. The combined glucose uptake produces a whole body blood sugar clearing effect that no isolation exercise can replicate. This is the first and most important reason the sequence of this protocol matters. The farmer's walk does not just burn glucose on its own, it primes the soleus for the targeted work that follows. By the time you complete your walk and sit down, your cardiovascular system is elevated, your metabolic demand is high, and your soleus is already warmed and engaged. The transition from standing carry to seated raise is not a rest. It's a handoff between 2 complementary systems. So the sitting down of this basically is transitioning to the next exercise. You're not taking a break. Research on loaded carries also demonstrates consistent improvements in aerobic capacity, how efficiently your cardiovascular system delivers oxygen to working muscles, and anaerobic threshold, the intensity level beyond which energy production shifts from sustainable to lactic acid generating. Both adaptations translate to better metabolic health and better glucose regulation over time. And then there's the longevity bonus built directly into this movement. You see, grip strength develops as an automatic byproduct of every farmer's walk you perform. Grip strength has become one of the most extensively studied biomarkers in longevity research. Now, a biomarker is a measurable biological indicator of overall health status. A 2019 meta-analysis published in Clinical Interventions in Aging found that grip strength, reliably predicted disability, cognitive decline, and mortality risk across broad, diverse populations. So I just want you to understand what this study said. It said that grip strength reliably predicted disability, cognitive decline, and mortality risk over a period of time across broad, diverse populations and over a period of time. You're not just managing your blood sugar. You are building a measurable, quantifiable predictor of how long and how well you're going to live. Every walk counts in more ways than one. So think about that for a moment. When you go for your physical, one of the things the doctor is going to do, he's going to have you grip something and squeeze. He might have you grip his own hands and squeeze. That is your grip strength test. And they're gauging how long and how well you're going to live. So think about that when you start this wonderful protocol. Now, there's something important. We have to do the correct sequence, every step in order. So I'm going to walk you through a complete protocol, step by step, precisely. The sequence is deliberate. Positions are non-negotiable. You can't do it out of sequence. Every element is there for a reason. So here's what you need, okay? 2 dumbbells or kettlebells. You start with a weight of maybe 15 or 25 pounds, anywhere in between that. Per hand, that's appropriate. Most people handle that. That's enough to create genuine metabolic demand on your body, but light enough to maintain proper posture for the full distance. Now you want to increase the weight progressively as you get stronger. Clear path of 40 to 60 feet is what you need then. That could be your driveway, hallway, park path, something like that. And then a sturdy chair positioned at the end of your walking path. That's the entire equipment. So one complete round performed in this exact order is what we're going to do. So step 1, the farmer's walk. Pick up your weights, stand tall, shoulders pulled back and down, chest lifted, core braced firmly as though you are preparing to absorb a controlled impact. Walk 40 to 60 feet at a deliberate, controlled pace. Heels contact the ground first. Rolls through to the toe with every step. Breathe steadily throughout. Do not lean forward. Do not let your shoulders round. Maintain posture for the entire walk. Next step, sit down immediately. When you reach the end of your path, go directly to your chair and sit. Do not perform standing calf raises. Do not remain on your feet. Sit down. This transition is the most critical moment in the protocol. Your body is metabolically elevated from the carry. Your soleus is warm and primed. Now you target it specifically. The seated position is what makes the next movement a soleus push-up rather than a gastrocnemic raise. Do not skip this transition. I'm telling you, please don't. So with your feet on the floor, again, hip width apart, toes and balls pressed firmly on the ground, staying there throughout. Raise both heels high off the floor as they will go by pressing upward through the balls of your feet. Hold the top position for 1 or 2 seconds. Feel the contraction. Then lower your heels slowly and fully back to the floor. That's one Soleus push-up. Perform 20 to 25 repetitions with full intention. Slow, deliberate, full range. Every repetition is a glucose clearing contraction. So you want to own each one. Now, step 4. Full rest. Remain seated. Rest completely for 60 to 90 seconds. Now, this rest is intentional and necessary. It allows your cardiovascular system to recover sufficiently so that the next farmer's walk can be performed with proper load, proper posture, and full muscle recruitment. So now when we say rest, we mean rest. Now, don't go to sleep. But you do not want to perform additional movement during this time. Let your body recover so the next round can be executed with the same quality as the first. So you repeat 3 to 4 complete rounds total. So that's how it works. The structure is clear. You stand for the walk, you sit for the push-up, rest between rounds. That alternation between loaded carry and targeted seated Soleus work is the design. It's not arbitrary. Every position has its purpose. Now, here's the thing about the timing. Research supports performing this protocol within 30 to 90 minutes after finishing a meal, because that corresponds precisely with the window when post-meal blood sugar reaches its peak in most people. Moving your muscles during that window means you are actively clearing glucose at the exact moment your body needs the most support. Now, throughout the day is another thing to give some consideration to. Hamilton's research also supports distributing seated Soleus push-ups throughout your waking hours, 15 to 20 repetitions every 2 or 3 hours, just to maintain the Soleus glucose clearing effect continuously between full protocol sessions. You can do this at your desk, at your kitchen table, on the couch, in the car at a red light. Anytime you are seated, the Soleus push-up is available to you, so use it. Now, we've got another part of the protocol. We call it the breathwork finisher. Here's the phase that separates a good protocol from a complete, protected, and powerful one. After your final round, after your last farmer's walk and your last set of Soleus push-ups, most people set the weights down and move on. And in doing so, they allow their own hormones to walk back a meaningful portion of the metabolic work they just completed. This is not theory, it's measurable physiology, and it is entirely preventable. Now, how do you prevent it? Well, the breathwork finisher prevents it. Here's what's happening. Exercise, even the beneficial blood sugar clearing kind, activates your body's stress response. Your adrenal glands, which sit atop each kidney, release cortisol and adrenaline to support the physical demands of the work. This is appropriate and necessary during the exercise itself. Problem arises when cortisol stays elevated after the work is done. See, cortisol does something very specific and very counterproductive to blood sugar management. It elevates a process in your liver called gluconeogenesis. Now, break that word down. Gluco, meaning glucose. Neo, meaning new. Genesis, creation. Gluconeogenesis is your liver manufacturing new glucose from non-sugar raw materials like amino acids and fats and other compounds, and then releasing it directly back into your bloodstream. Glucose is one of its most powerful and reliable triggers, or cortisol rather, is one of its most powerful and reliable triggers. So without the breath work, the unmanaged sequence looks like this. You exercise, you clear glucose through your muscles and your Soleus. Your cortisol remains elevated. Your liver receives this cortisol signal. Gluconeogenesis activates, and new glucose floods back into your bloodstream. The blood sugar you worked to lower partially rebounds. So you have been fighting your own biology in the recovery without knowing it. Breathwork stops this cycle at its source. Your autonomic nervous system, that's the division of your nervous system governing all involuntary functions, including your heart rate, blood pressure, digestion, and hormone secretion, it operates in two states. First, the sympathetic state, commonly called the fight or flight state. That's your accelerator. It's like stepping on the gas. It activates during exercise, stress, and demand. Heart rate gets elevated, blood pressure rises, the cortisol is elevated, liver glucose production is running. The parasympathetic state, well, that's your rest and digest. That's your break instead of stepping on the gas. Your heart rate settles, your blood pressure normalizes, glucose or your cortisol drops, liver actively quiets, cellular recovery and repair engages. So the fastest, most direct method known to science for shifting from sympathetic to parasympathetic dominance is controlled breathing, specifically a slow exhale that is longer than the inhale. This mechanism operates through a remarkable structure called the vagus nerve. Now, the vagus nerve is the longest nerve in the human body, running from your brainstem through your neck, chest, and abdomen, connecting your brain directly to your heart, lungs, and your digestive system. When you slow your breathing and deliberately extend your exhale, you stimulate the vagus nerve directly. The vagus nerve signals the parasympathetic system to take over. Within minutes, cortisol begins to drop. Gluconeogenesis slows and then stops. Your liver receives the signal to stand down. You're not simply winding down after a workout. You are biochemically deactivating the mechanism that was preparing to undo your work. Now, that distinction is important and critical. The clinical evidence on breathwork and glucose regulation is consistent, growing, and compelling. A study published in the Journal of Clinical and Diagnostic Research followed participants practicing diaphragmatic breathing. That's belly breathing, where the diaphragm, the dome-shaped muscle at the base of your lungs, does the primary work rather than the chest muscles over a 3-month period. Compared to a control group, the breathing participants showed statistically significant reductions in fasting plasma glucose, in other words, blood sugar, post-meal plasma glucose, your HbA1c, and oxidative stress markers. Now, you heard me say HbA1c, your hemoglobin A1c. Now, I'm sure you know that, but just for those that may not know that, the HbA1c is the gold standard blood test for tracking average blood sugar levels over the previous 2 or 3 months. It is the number your doctor monitors for prediabetes and diabetes management. Reducing it meaningfully through breathwork practice alone, without any medication change, is a result that demands more attention than is currently receiving in mainstream health conversations. A separate study with type 2 diabetic individuals found that 3 months of coherent breathing, while inhale and exhale are equalized and deliberately slowed, increased heart rate variability and significantly lowered HbA1c. Heart rate variability, HRV, now that's the natural variation in the intervals between the heartbeats. A higher HRV is one of the most natural variations in the intervals between your heartbeats. So let's understand this. The higher your HRV is an indicator of your cardiovascular resistance, your nervous system health, and metabolic efficiency. Breathwork was improving both simultaneously. And even in a single session, the acute effects are measurable. Research found that just a few minutes of extended exhale breathing before and after a glucose challenging moment shifted the blood sugar peak from the 30-minute mark out to the 60-minute mark and modestly reduced the height of that peak. One session. A few deliberate minutes of breathing, a few measurable changes in your glucose response. This is what you want. This is what you see. So how do we use this? How do we do the breathwork finisher exactly? Well, we went through our Soleus, we went through our farmer's work, we went through our Soleus push-up, right? So you want to perform this immediately after your final round. You're already seated from the last set of Soleus push-ups. You just stay there. Now, close your eyes. Place one hand flat on your chest and one flat on your belly, just below the rib cage. Inhale slowly, steadily through your nose for a count of 4. As you inhale, your belly hand should rise first. This confirms your diaphragm is descending and your lungs are filling from the bottom up. Your chest hand should remain relatively still. Now, if your chest rises first, your diaphragm is not fully engaged. Practice expanding your belly outward as you breathe in, allowing the air to fill your lungs from the base up. That's called diaphragmatic breathing. Exhale slowly through your nose or your mouth, if you prefer, whichever one, but you do so for a count of 6 to 8. The exhale is longer than the inhale. That asymmetry is the mechanism. The extended exhale is what stimulates the vagus activation and initiates the parasympathetic shift. The inhale resets you. The exhale does the metabolic work. It stimulates the vagal activation, initiating your parasympathetic shift. So you perform 8 to 10 complete cycles as your minimum. So 5 sustained minutes, that's perfect. If you can do that for just 5 minutes, that's perfect. As you breathe, your heart rate will descend naturally. Your shoulders will drop. The muscular tension from the carries and push-ups will begin to release. Your nervous system is shifting states. Cortisol is dropping. Gluconeogenesis is slowing. Your body is transitioning into the state where genuine recovery and cellular repair take place. This is not a cool down. This is biology executing exactly as intended because you gave it the signal it needed. So, we're going to talk a little bit about the complete picture, and then I've got a little gift for you. We'll talk a little bit about that later. Let me bring those 3 phases together. Okay, we're going to put the whole picture together because understanding how they connect is what makes each element more compelling to practice consistently. Phase 1, your farmer's walk, standing, loaded, total body carry, every major muscle group functioning and recruited simultaneously, all of them demanding the glucose as fuel. Whole body systematic blood sugar drain, plus your grip strength developing as a byproduct, a clinically validated biomarker of longevity. And as a critical bonus, the pre-activating, pre-warming Soleus allows your body to be prepared for what's coming next. And that's the Soleus push-up. You sit down the moment you complete the walk, feet flat, toes grounded, heels raised slowly to maximum height, 1 to 2 second hold at the top. Don't forget that. Slow, controlled lowering. 20 to 25 deliberate repetitions. The seated position disengages the gastrocnemius and places all the metabolic work on the soleus. That soleus, 88% slow twitch, high glute 4 density, insulin-dependent glucose uptake, it pulls blood sugar out through its own dedicated channel, bypasses insulin resistance entirely, and because it's slow twitch dominant, it sustains this work without fatiguing, without getting tired, long after the fast twitch muscles from the farmer's work have hit their limit. And then there's breathwork. That's your third part of the phase 3. So you can be seated or lying after your last round. You inhale 4 counts through the nose. Your belly rises first. Remember that. Then you exhale 6 to 8 counts through the mouth. Extended and deliberate. 8 to 10 cycles minimum. The extended exhale stimulates the vagus nerve, activates the parasympathetic nervous system, drops your cortisol, signals the liver to cease gluconeogenesis. The mechanism that was preparing to reload your heart or your body with glucose gets shut down. Insulin sensitivity improves. Heart rate variability improves. Your body settles into the state where actual metabolic recovery happens. 3 phases, 3 separate pathways, 1 unified, intelligent 20-minute system. Just 20 minutes. This protocol works for men navigating testosterone decline and rising insulin resistance. It works for women navigating estrogen decline and the metabolic shifts of perimenopause and menopause. It works for anyone whose blood sugar is trending in the wrong direction and who wants a science-backed tool they can execute today in their home, without a trainer, without a prescription, and without spending $1. The biology is universal. The mechanisms are the same for everybody. The results are available to every person willing to show up and do the work consistently. So, let me ask you a question. Are you willing to show up for yourself and do the work consistently? I hope so. Before I go, I want to make sure you have something tangible in your hands, because information that stays in your ears eventually fades. Information you can see every day becomes a habit. I put together a complete Crush Your Mountain protocol chart, a clean 1-pager PDF reference that lays out the entire 3-phase system in one place. Every rep, every position, every timing guideline, the correct sequence, the science stats, the daily schedule, everything you need to execute this protocol confidently and correctly every single time. It's available for download at no cost, no catch. You can print it, post it in your kitchen, your home office, your garage, keep it on your phone. Whatever puts you in charge, whatever puts it where you will actually see it and use it. So we'll check it out. We'll put it in the chat, because your health deserves more than a good listen. It deserves a plan you could hold in your hands and put into action today. The science is here. The protocol is here. The sequence is clear. The chart is yours. The only variable, the only thing that determines whether this information changes your health or simply passes through your day is you. So again, I ask you, straight up, are you willing to show up for yourself? I really hope you do. Hey, if this episode delivered value to you today, please share this with someone who needs it. Subscribe so you never miss what we're building in this community. And if you have a moment, leave us a review. It puts this content in front of people who are actively searching for exactly what you just heard. So again, thank you so very much for listening. I'm Henry Gaskins. This is Crush Your Mountain Health. Remember, don't just climb your mountain, crush through it. See you next time.